Russia is a master of soft power and propaganda, using for public diplomacy, using manipulation, subterfuge, conspiracy theories, compromat. No other state comes even close to their ability to disseminate this kinds of information. The point is, conspiracy or post-truth for whom?
The Élysée Palace has ridiculed a conspiracy theory that emerged over the weekend, claiming that the French President Emmanuel Macron took drugs with the German Chancellor Friedrich Merz on a train that took the leaders to Kyiv. The accusation was based on a video of Macron, Merz, and our own Prime Minister Keir Starmer, in which the French leader removes a tissue from the table, which some social media accounts said was a bag of cocaine. The Élysée posted on X, "This fake news is being spread by France's enemies, both abroad and at home. We must remain vigilant against manipulation." So where do these conspiracy theories come from, and who actually believes them? Well, I'm joined now by Dr Tristan Sturm, a reader in human geography at Queen's University Belfast, specialising in online conspiracy theories. Tristan, hello.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Thanks very much for being with us. Look, for those who haven't seen it, can you describe what happens in this video?
Yeah, I mean, the initial release was a grainy image that appeared to be a small bag that Macron grabs and then conceals in his hand. It turns out, as you said, that it's just a Kleenex, or, sorry, we call it a Kleenex in Canada, a tissue that he's used to wipe his nose. But in the grainy image, it does appear to be some kind of white bag. My initial assumption was that it was a bag of Splenda, the sweetener, the artificial sweetener that people use and often carry around in bags like that, especially if they're suffering from diabetes. And Merz also concealed something which appeared to be a stir stick. Anyway, the conspiracy has been resolved.
Well, but it's been seen by like serious numbers of people. A quick search on X shows posts viewed 17 million times, 12 million times, and then there are lots of different posts with this video. Where does this stuff come from, and how does it spread? Because I mean, it's the sort of thing that you pay attention to for the shortest few seconds, and it's very obviously nonsense, and yet it sort of spreads around so virally. How and why?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, a lot of the media has talked about it as being a conspiracy theory. I don't think it is a conspiracy theory. It's rather what we might call post-truth or fake news. A conspiracy theory requires a conspiracy and a theory, which didn't exist in this particular scenario. A conspiracy theory, of course, is just the idea of a small group of people working in secret who are powerful, working in their own interest against the greater good of society. That doesn't pan out here. Rather, what we're seeing is a post-truth or a fake news, an example of fake news that's been used specifically by Russia. I think what's interesting here is that Russia felt that this would be an example of the depraved, corrupt, and miscreant West, but I'm not sure that kind of resonance would be felt in the West or in Europe. I mean, there's also assumption that potentially the leader's effectiveness wouldn't be under the influence, would be misdirected. I'm not sure that's been panned out in the media or in the science as well. But anyway, yeah. So why we live in a social world where there's much more social media. These alternative media platforms, and we live in a digital revolution where these interrelated processes amplify deception and key acts of manipulation.
If we're to try and understand the process by which this happens, would I be correct in thinking maybe what happens is somebody sees this, thinks it's funny, thinks it's interesting, circulates it, it then gets picked up, and would I be right in thinking like one of the actors who pick it up and push it is quite likely to be, for example, the Russian state?
Yeah, I think that Russia admitted that it was the case. The Russian foreign minister said that she was one of the first to comment on it and disseminate it within. Russia is a master of soft power and propaganda, using for public diplomacy, using manipulation, subterfuge, conspiracy theories, compromat. No other state comes even close to their ability to disseminate this kinds of information. The point is, conspiracy or post-truth for whom? Again, I think it fell flat in the West as maybe just a joke, or so it's getting a lot of popularity in the West because it's funny potentially. In Russia, I think the act of potentially consuming drugs is more deprecating, and therefore for this particular element of post-truth, it was supposed to resonate with the Russian population specifically, potentially in Ukraine as well. But I don't think it was as effective as they would have liked.
How much of this is automated, is sort of bots, and how much of it is real people?
In this case, I think, it might have been a combination of the two, deliberate subterfuge or post-truth that was disseminated by the minister and then put on things like Reddit or, Instagram, Telegraph in Russia, various other social media sites, again, for wider dissemination. I mean, that would have been done by bots, of course. But people, of course, have to be in the background to create these bots and to tell them what to say, or potentially using AI to accelerate this bot.
And look, I mean, the French government took the unusual step of denying this, which, I mean, is that a good idea in these situations? I'm not sure we'd necessarily be talking about it if the government hadn't taken the step of denying it. So is that a self-defeating strategy?
I'm not sure. I mean, I'm not sure why denying it would be self-defeating. I mean, I think we need to be resolute and work against this post-truth era that we live in, right? Russia is, as I said, is incredibly good at directing false information around the world, as is certain leaders in the Western world, including Donald Trump. We live in perilous times where the truth no longer resonates as it did even 10 years ago. We do, I think, need to call out these post-truths and set them correct. Otherwise, how are we to separate what is true and what is false in the world? I think correcting these things is important, and it's important that we're talking about it here, right? Yeah. We're about to emerge in a world of AI, of deep fakes that are already, disseminated quite widely and are very convincing. It's going to be, how should we say, a brave new world that I think we do need to be vigilant and on the edge of and discredit as soon as possible.
Yeah, indeed. Look, thank you very much indeed. That's Dr Tristan Sturm, who's at Queen's University Belfast, specialising in online conspiracy theories. Thank you very much indeed.
Bonjour messieurs, dames. Bonjour. Bonjour à tous. Merci d'être là. Merci beaucoup. On y va?
Very intensively, and that will be the work on Sunday. That's the reason why I will stay until then.
Merci beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup. Merci à vous. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, thank you.
Yes. Oh, wait.
It's a long walk. I'll be back in Poland.
And through my bathroom, huh?
Yeah?
It's literally. We came through Germany, and then we made it to France.
Bedroom and
we got through the border.
Right.
Take a photo, and after that you will be allowed to have a drink.
Yeah.
Super.
Yeah.
Tout le monde va bien? Ok, c'est bon. Merci. Merci.
Merci. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.